a lot of people are really worried about what they're going to do when they retire. And I'd be lying if I didn't say it at least crossed my mind. But, I started playing a game several years ago and kind of retaken it up, and it's pickleball. And I know it's kind of cliche these days because all us old people are playing it, but it could be a game for you. We're going to talk about how we got into it, like what we're investing from time and money, and you can make a decision on whether you think it's something that you might want to try. I actually found pickleball, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 years ago. When I lived up in Northeast Iowa, I started playing with a friend. A friend invited me, and I went out there, and there was a group of guys and gals that were playing. And I played it for off and on for probably a year or so before I moved away and then just kind of fell out of it.
Yeah.
I tried to play in another community where we lived briefly, and again, just didn't really connect with the community there and didn't have the time to devote. But then we moved down here, and we were here 5 years, and I
Didn't
might have
play at
played
all.
twice
Yeah.
while we were down here. And there's plenty of opportunities here to play. But once I retired, we talked about it with some friends of ours, and they were going to start playing. Well, you've met these friends, Mark and Lori. They were actually in our last video too. And they decided they were going to start playing, so we decided we'd give it a shot too.
Yeah. And it's been a lot of fun. We've learned a lot. Rich had the history of having played it. And in all honesty, I knew nothing about pickleball until I started dating him, and I knew he enjoyed playing it. So, of course, then I tried to figure it out. Needless to say, I don't think I was super impressive to you with my pickleball skills. But now that I'm playing it more regularly, I do feel much more confident in how I play and knowing the game.
And for someone in this stage of life, when you're trying to maybe watch what you spend,
Mm-hmm.
pickleball is really a good sport to get into. It can be pretty low cost, even if you go all out on all the equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Really, all you need is a paddle, and I mean, I'm sure you can spend a lot more, but you can also spend $50 on a paddle.
Right.
And I for the longest time I didn't have any special shoes. I don't really now. I actually bought some pickleball shoes recently, but they hurt my feet, so I think I may not be wearing them much longer. Good thing they were cheap.
Yeah.
But the paddle's the big thing, and the ball is a wiffle ball, and
Mm-hmm.
you can buy them very cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And then the way the sport is kind of exploding across the United States, there's courts everywhere.
Yeah, there is. Indoor courts, that's a super common thing down here in Kansas City. And there's plenty of outdoor courts too.
Yeah, and it does attract a lot of people in our stage of life and people that are significantly older than us.
Right.
A lot of those play. But there's more and more younger people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right up into high school kids that are starting to play, and it's really gaining steam, and it's a fun sport all around. Very multi-generational, and the whole family plays.
Right.
Last time my kids were home, we actually went and played. I have a daughter, 2 daughters, and a son-in-law and a boyfriend, and we all played pickleball.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was great. We had a great time. I don't really want to just make the assumption that everybody knows what pickleball is, because initially when Rich introduced it to me, I sort of kind of knew, but not really. So, what is pickleball?
So pickleball is a paddle sport.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people used to ask me when, like I said, 8, 9 years ago, when it wasn't as big as it is now, like, what is it? And I described it as you're playing ping pong, except you're playing on the table. Right. So
yeah, that's true.
It's kind of set up that way. In some of the videos that I've shown here, you'll have seen the court. And the most common way to play it is in doubles. And it's really, I mean, it is a kind of a low impact, kind of light cardio, but you can get going pretty good.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you're playing singles, it's a lot more cardio.
Yeah, there's a lot more working out with that. Right.
But I mean, it's people with injuries that are playing this game. I mean, it is fun to play, and it's open to everybody.
Right.
So let's go through a few pros and maybe a couple of cons of pickleball, just in case you're ready to make the decision. Maybe I can help push you over the edge.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I guess one of the biggest things that draws me to it is the physical exercise part of it. Just getting out there, especially at our age, being physical. I find pickleball to be, it's a good low kind of a cardio workout, but it's a low impact workout. I'm not jumping up and down. I'm not doing, jumping jacks and all this impact stuff. So that's a huge pull for me. Plus, also, I think it's really good at, I have found, anyways, for myself, it's been good at getting my reflexes better, just makes me try and think quicker on my feet. And as I've continued to play, I have noticed that things are improving in that realm.
Yeah, I think the thinking part of it, it's
Yeah.
one thing that I've always heard, I don't know whether it's true or not, is that if you can improve your hand-eye coordination, it helps your brain keep firing faster and longer, and helps you age better.
Right.
So it definitely does some of those things. I think also, just the fact that you're out there and you're engaging with society, it boosts your mood.
Yeah.
It kind of, reduces stress.
Right.
It gives you something to do. I mean, especially if you're in the retirement phase where sometimes you're wondering what's the day going to hold. It gives you an opportunity to, hey, I'm going to go play pickleball today.
Right. Exactly. It's something to look forward to. And one thing too, like, we've met really great people. Right.
Yeah, that's a definite pro is just the social connection part of it.
Right.
I mean, there's so many times, and I think we've talked about this in our videos before, part of the scary part of retirement is everybody that probably isn't retired at the same time you are, or you're not finding yourself hanging out with people that are significantly older just because you're recently retired. Well, pickleball, what we found so far is, because it's attracting all kinds of people, when you go to an open play sort of environment, you meet just tons of different people.
And it's from all ages. Like, we have people that we play with that are in their early 80s, and they are so good at pickleball. It's amazing. And then there's even, it's all the way down 70s, 60s, 50s, even 40s and 30-year-olds that come and play too. So there's just a nice wide variety. You get to meet a lot of people, kind of connect with them. And it's definitely good physically and emotionally.
Yeah, and if you're, like us, kind of wondering where our friends going to be out in retirement, pickleball has got us to find some friends that we're doing things that aren't pickleball.
That's right.
Right, like we're attending concerts or going to nights in the park, and there's some other things that we're planning to do with people that we've met through pickleball.
Right. Just a few cons that I guess I would come up with when we talk about pickleball. The first thing would be just the potential for injury. And, for myself, my hips are not the best after having been a nurse for all these years and walking on concrete for 16-hour shifts. Getting out there and moving around, sometimes I'm like, oh man, that's a real good twinge, or my back hurts a little bit. But like, an example for you, Rich, is that just recently he's had some foot pain. So
I'm kind of worried that there's something more going on with one of my feet, but pickleball seems to be the only thing that kind of exacerbates that. So just so happens we're going to be off for a couple of weeks now doing some vacationing, but maybe that's going to give it a rest and I'll be fine. But there definitely, with pickleball, there is the opportunity to injure. And if you already have a pre-existing injury, you might want to be careful. And one of the things I've heard is that the worst injury that you're going to come up with playing pickleball would be tearing your Achilles tendon. And it's an 8 or 9 month recovery period. It doesn't happen I don't know anybody that it's happened to, but that's what you hear. That's the most devastating pickleball injury.
That's the injury that everybody's fearful of, I guess.
So stretching is a big deal.
For sure.
Another little con would be, because the sport is growing so quickly, sometimes the courts get pretty crowded. We talked in last week's video about finding places to play pickleball while we were traveling. And one of those places was a park that had 8 pickleball courts. But boy, when people started showing up to play pickleball, it got crowded in a hurry.
Yeah, I think every court had people waiting to play on it.
And that can be, you might end up with some significant wait time unless there's some sort of rotation thing going on.
Right. And what we do right now in our pickleball playing is we go to a place here in Kansas City, and they have open play in the morning from 7 to 9. And usually there's a pretty good group of people there. but they have a system set up where you put your paddles in a slot, and the winners stay on the court, the losers come off, two people go in. So it does rotate through pretty quickly.
And maybe the last con I would say is you might end up liking it so much you're putting in too much time playing pickleball.
That's him.
Yeah, like I'm trying to find new places to play, and maybe it ends up being 6 days a week. I don't know, but I know what I am going to have to worry about. I probably need some more ice packs if I'm playing that much.
Yeah.
All right, so if we've convinced you that pickleball might be something you want to try, it's really easy to get started. Because it is growing so fast, there's a lot of opportunities out there to find yourself a beginner clinic. Yep. Where you can go with a bunch of other people that are just getting started and learn the rules and learn like where you should be on the court and how to keep score, because that's something that people do struggle with.
The scoring is tricky to begin with, for sure.
Yeah, but once you get it, you get it,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and for me, in my instance, I knew some of the basics from Rich, but who's the hardest person to take instruction from? Your spouse, right? So he tried to help me a little bit, but what I ended up doing, my friend and I, we actually went and got some private lessons or did some lessons with a young man, and he was very helpful to me. And then now it's just getting out there and playing on a more regular basis. So you can take lessons, you can join a beginner's league. There's lots of ways you can get your foot through in the door and start learning.
But one thing I think everybody I know has found is the more you play, the better you get, obviously. But it comes pretty quickly.
It does.
Like it's not something that you're going to find yourself playing for a year and thinking I didn't get any better.
Right.
I mean, if you play a couple times a week for a month, you're going to be amazed at how much your improvement you saw during that time. And again, it's there's a low barrier to entry. You don't go out and buy a $200 paddle until you decided you like the game. Most places that you go to, you can borrow a paddle or maybe rent a paddle just to make sure that you like it. But again, entry-level paddles are probably $30.
Right. Yeah. You can spend a lot of money on a paddle if you want, but I don't really think it's necessary.
Especially when you're just starting out.
Yeah.
The generation of your paddle probably isn't that big a deal.
Right.
Once you decide you like it and you want to step your game up a little, there are those opportunities and you can make a decision. But it's not like golf.
Yeah.
Where if it's time to go buy the next set of clubs, you're dropping $1,000.
Yeah, no,
right?
Not
it's just
all.
not that way.
Right.
And that's another thing that we didn't mention before. It's one of those sports, like you can go play it for an hour, or you can go play it for 2 hours, whatever. It's not taking up your whole day.
Right, exactly. Like, especially with Rich, he does like to play and he is playing a lot, and I appreciate that and like that for him. I'm glad that it is pickleball and not golf, because if he was playing golf every day, number one, expensive.
Way more expensive.
And secondly, takes up a lot more time.
Yeah.
And I don't like that either. So
she's going to have to get used to it, because I'm going to play a little bit of golf too.
Well, this is a good happy medium. Plus, we can play this together. I'm better at this probably than I am at golf. Yeah?
Okay.
Maybe?
Okay.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe not. I don't know. I think for us, pickleball has given us great social time, being with people. We've gotten good exercise, and we get a lot of laughter out of it. I think we laugh, we have fun, it's enjoyable. Personally, I wish I would have started playing sooner, but I do mean to catch up and get better here as we go along.
So if you're newly retired or in this phase of life where you're thinking about what am I going to do when I do retire, take a look at pickleball. You might be surprised, and don't fall for the everybody's doing it. I had somebody made a comment in one of our videos, oh, it's the new shuffleboard, I'd never play pickleball. Hey, don't let the naysayers fool you. It's a good time.
Give it a try.
A great way to meet people, and a good way to just get out there and start to enjoy whatever free time you do have. It is a big concern of retirees, like, what am I going to do to fill my time? We did another video on things that you can do to fill your time in retirement. Check that out here. Thanks for watching. God bless.